Welcome to Part 2, Managing Categories. Category management within PowerTeacher Pro is probably the most important feature. Categories in PowerTeacher Pro can now be assigned to specific classes, which makes the look much cleaner and much easier for the teacher to understand. Categories is found under Grading, and then you click on Categories. You'll notice that you now have 4 categories already created. These 4 categories were created by the district, and this is a little symbol that lets you know that these categories are from the district. If you want to edit any category that's been created, you would click on this edit box. And this opens up a category that you've already created, and you can go make changes. Before we look at the changes you can make, I'll show you how to create a category. The Create Category button is found here. Create, and you create a category. So you give your category a name. Then you can give your category a color. You can make it active or inactive. We'll look at that a little later. You can give a description for that category if you want to. Then on this Select Classes, my patterns and relations is definitely not going to be for all of my classes. So patterns and relations is a strand within the Math 9 course. So I'm going to say that this category I've created should only show up under Mathematics 9. If I had other classes that I want to use this same category for, I could select them. But for this example, I only want patterns and relations to show up under Math 9. And then you click on Save. Now notice under Grading Categories, you now have a new category called Patterns and Relations. And it's telling you that it's only going to be used for one class, Mathematics 9. So when we do our final grade setup in Part 3, Patterns and Relations will not show up under category weighting for my other classes. It will only show for Math 9. I'll show that a little later. I'll now create a second category. Create Category. I'll call this one Shape and Space. I can give it a different color. Again, this is a strand for Math 9, so I want to indicate that it's only going to be used for Math 9. Then you can assign defaults, which I didn't show in the first part. So the score type normally is points. You may want to use percent or collected only. Collected only would be used when you're not assigning any points. You can assign weights, but for now I would leave it at 1. We'll look at weights a little bit later under the assignments. So I have score type points, and my category is for only Math 9. It's called Shapes and Space and it's color teal, and you hit Save. Whenever you try to save and you see a message pop up, this is telling you that there's a missing required field. So I forgot to put an entry point for my default values. So I'll put 10. This is something that can be changed at the moment you create the assignment. But by default, it will always put 10 points for when you select that category. But it can be changed at the moment the assignment is being created. And then you hit Save. I've gone ahead and created 2 extra categories: Statistics and Probability and Exam. These 4 categories are what will make up my mark for my Math 9. So Patterns and Relations, Shapes and Space, Statistics and Probability, and my exam. Notice that my 3 categories in Math 9 are targeted only for Math 9. However, my exam, I've indicated that it can be used for all my classes. If you don't want conversations, observations, products, and general information to show up for all your classes, you can also change where they're being targeted. Or if you don't want to use them for the moment, you can also make them inactive temporarily. So I can click on the edit and make this category inactive, I can make observations inactive. I can also make products inactive. And my general information category, I can target to my homeroom. So I now have my general information that's targeted for only homeroom. I have my 3 categories that are targeted only for Math 9, and I have my exam, which will be viewable for all my classes. If I want to make a category active again that I made it inactive, you would just click on Show Inactive. It shows your 3 categories you made inactive, and you can select one of them, click on Active, and you will now be able to use this category again. Once you've set all the categories for all of your classes, and you've made sure to indicate which category is being used for which class, then you're ready to move to step 3, which is doing your final grade setup.